Okay, maybe we are being a little dramatic, but cedar trees do cause a huge problem here in Oklahoma. They're bad for the environment, a fire danger to our homes, and absolutely terrible for people with allergies. Yet one group of Oklahomans wants to turn what most see as a menace into money. Brian Bindley explains.
There's one thing Oklahoma is not short of, and that is the eastern red cedar. Conventional thinking was to burn it out. But with millions of acres overgrown with this shrubby menace, there might be a better answer.
We hear a lot of negatives about the red cedar in the state of Oklahoma, but we have a motto at our company, and our motto is learn and not burn.
Pat Clark with Red Gold Cedar Fibers was in attendance at this year's Eastern Red Cedar Conference and says his business proves cedars can be beneficial.
On this project alone, we have estimated that we're going to take some $500,000 worth of product off of this 80 to 90 acres that is in the study program.
And Pat is not alone. This year's conference focused on the different industries that can utilize cedar trees. Secretary of Agriculture Terry Peach.
It's a rural development tool that we can use to move people to those communities, to put in sawmills, to put in various things, whether it turns out red cedar logs to build homes out of, red cedar fences to put around your farms and ranchers, or whether it be that we utilize red cedar in the oil field, whether it be through cedar fiber or whether it be through mulch in your garden.
The wood from cedar is just one example. Cedar oil is a byproduct used in many industries as wood preservatives, natural insecticides, herbicides, biofuels, and also a cancer preventative.
The real value of it is in fighting a world-recognized disease called schistosomiasis. That's a parasite that is born from freshwater snails, and it's a freshwater liver fluke that'll bore into the skin of people who live in tropical countries on fresh water or around fresh water. And that liver fluke will penetrate into the liver and the bladder of humans and cause cancer. It kills 200,000 people a year, and the only mitigating agent they've found so far is cedar oil sprayed lightly over the edges of the water where these liver fluke live, and it'll kill the liver fluke.
Dr. Robert Shapiro with Federal Recycling Technologies says plans are underway to build a research facility here in Oklahoma. A good economic sign as interest in both cedar wood and oil is starting to have an impact in rural Oklahoma, where it most commonly grows. Rob Gregg with the Oklahoma Department of Commerce.
For rural Oklahoma, it starts adding value, it starts creating jobs and opportunity for them, and that's what this is all about. We're starting to look at a lot of natural resources inside the state of Oklahoma and see how we can start to transplant those ideas into rural Oklahoma.
Proactive business owner Patrick Daughtry from Hinton, Oklahoma, decided to grab a big share of the market when he built the state-of-the-art turbo saw tree cutter attachment for skid steer loaders.
Originally, we had some cedar trees cut. We come from a farm, and we had it hired out. And it was just a stroke of luck. Somebody had a homemade style machine that was using a saw blade. And then we decided we would get into that industry and do custom cutting.
Their business plan was to create an attachment that would shear trees close to the ground so as not to leave a stump in pasture land areas. Since starting in 2003, Daughtry Manufacturing has doubled profits every quarter, and their business continues to grow.
We now have about 6 employees, and we're looking to build about a 12,000 square foot facility, and we're seeing in the near future to hire about 15 more employees.
Meaning more jobs for Hinton and for Oklahoma just by turning a nuisance into a profit.
Well, joining me now is our Brian Bindley. Well, Brian, it looks like the people in your story are doing a good job of making lemonade out of lemons.
Exactly, Rob. What most people don't realize is that cedar trees take up over 15% of Oklahoma's land mass. That's now roughly over 7 million acres. But it's not just the land mass they consume, it's the amount of water they restrict to reach the ground that is a big concern. If you look behind me, you'll see the cedar tree and how thick the canopy is. And essentially what the leaves and the limbs do is they allow the water to only touch the leaves and not get all the way to the ground. A recent study between Woodward and Lake Overholser on the North Canadian River showed that over 951 million gallons of water was restricted from reaching the North Canadian. That's 9 days of Oklahoma City water supply.
And not only are these trees water hogs, they can also be a fire danger.
Exactly. If we think back a couple of years ago when the big wildfires reached Oklahoma, the cedar trees were the main reason why these fires got out of control. And it's mainly for the oils they produce. Now I'm going to reach down here and grab a limb, and I want to show you how fast these dried limbs can catch on fire. You hear that crackle? You're going to see these limbs catch on fire here. And just imagine, we've had a little more humidity this year, but just imagine a hot, dry summer, and these limbs will just take off and a whole tree can combust.
Now, while this is often seen as a rural problem, I know plenty of urban areas that have fire problems with cedars too.
Oh, exactly, Rob. For a lot of homeowners don't realize how combustible these trees are. And if you take a look at this tree beside me, it's about 10 foot tall. And when a fire starts from the ground up, it automatically goes through the tree, what they call ladder fuel, all the way to the top, and can easily jump from the tops of a tree to the tops of your roof. So homeowners, be aware of this and trim your trees back. This will help you prevent maybe a wildfire from getting out of control in your neighborhood.
And I hope you're getting that fire put out.
We were able to put the limb out down here in a bucket full of water.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Rob.